Integrative Inquiry, Week 4, Self-Compassion.
In that comfortable seated position where we're noticing the feet on the floor, the seat on the chair, the back upright, alert, yet relaxed. Noticing where the hands are placed. And inviting the eyes to soften, just gently looking as if you're seeing. Just a soft gaze, just a soft gaze. Or perhaps the eyes are closed. And then inviting a gentle attention to rest on the breast sensation in the belly. Perhaps bringing a hand to the belly. And just noticing that natural ebb and flow of the in and out breath. And as we arrive today, remembering that you set the intention to be here. You arrived here. All that came before, all that is going to come, it may also be here. So just allowing a gentle kindness to well up within you as you offer a gentle gratitude to arriving at this place in time. I am grateful you're here. And remembering, as John Kabat-Zinn says, you are breathing. There is much more right with you than wrong with you. Remembering this with each inhale and exhale. And then inviting your attention back into the webinar, to this PowerPoint, allowing your gaze to become more focused. As we invite in a discussion of self-compassion. What is self-compassion? So this is Kristen Neff and Chris Germer's work, which I have so much respect for. So what they talk about is, we'll be talking about compassion a lot in a later session. Right now, what we're talking about is self-compassion. It involves treating yourself the way you would treat a dear friend who's having a hard time. Even if they're really messed up, they're feeling inadequate, or just facing a tough life challenge. So in mindful self-compassion, we're not inviting in compassion to sweep away what is. Rather, we're inviting a kindness and a gentleness to arise toward what we're experiencing, because what we're experiencing is tough. It's difficult. So we often do this for others, and so the invitation here is to do this for self, and that it's not self-indulgent. It's actually, there's a lot of neurological reasons why you would want to do this. It's wise. It soothes that amygdala reaction. It allows more access to prefrontal medial frontal cortex. It allows us to see more options for decisions. So again, why self-compassion? The thing that connects us as humans, we call it common humanity in this course. What connects us as humans is that everyone experiences pain and suffering. Yes, it's true. I have white skin. I'm an American. I have experienced a lot more privileges, less pain and suffering than many other people of color in the United States, than many other people around the world. And everyone has experienced pain and suffering. So the idea here is not to compare levels of pain and suffering, which we often do. Rather, the idea here is to connect in the pain and suffering, to connect through the awareness of pain and suffering, okay? Especially towards self. So if I end up going into comparing mind, I will negate any sort of pain and suffering that I might be experiencing, and therefore I won't take care of it, and therefore it buries and boils up later in likely an unskillful behavior or unskillful words. Rather, if I tend to the pain and suffering, everyone has experienced pain and suffering, maybe not what I'm experiencing. I may not be experiencing what they're experiencing, but caring for it is wise, it's skillful, especially as a leader. And so what we're doing also with the mindfulness is we're validating what is without exaggerating it. Remember, the mind is a storytelling machine. I actually can't remember that. I haven't introduced that to you, but the mind is a storytelling machine. We'll talk about this more. The mind will make up stuff that it doesn't know. If in light of a lack of a fact, it will tell a story. Doesn't this explain a lot in the workplace, right? It will exaggerate things. It's just what it does. There's nothing wrong with people who do that, or nothing wrong with you when you do it. There's nothing wrong with me. The idea here is to notice that, pause that storytelling thing, and come back to, what is? Wow, I'm in pain. Others have experienced this pain. Of course I'm experiencing this pain. Who wouldn't experience this pain if they just experienced what I did? So there's a validation to what is without going into the story of that person's out to get me or whatever, right? And then we're offering a lot of kindness. Being human is hard. Meng always says being human is hard. And so this human experience is difficult. Again, people have varying difficulties. We're not about comparing in this course. What we're practicing in this course is just saying being human is hard. Everyone experiences pain and suffering. So we're inviting a kindness toward it, especially toward yourself and the difficulties you're experiencing. And the way that we invite that kindness is to be your own best friend. I love this quote. A best friend is someone who loves you when you forget to love yourself. A best friend is someone who loves you in your worst moment. Like, they might not accept the behavior from the worst moment, but they accept you and know that there's more to you than that worst behavior in that moment. Yes. So this is the kind of love that we're inviting, that we invest in ourselves, that we love ourselves, even, that we act as our best friend if our best friend's not around. Okay. And I often like to think of a dog. Dogs are like, they don't care what you've done. They'll like come up. They don't care that you left them alone all day. They don't care that you forgot to feed them on time. They don't care. They're just like, oh, hi, I'm so excited to see you, right? So it's that kind of kindness. So there's also other reasons that we want to offer self-compassion. And this is Paul Gilbert's work that is really powerful. So he talks about, as leaders, we often get into this driving or this threat-based reactivity. And basically think about this in work. We're either really driven to succeed. We're excited about our work. We're excited about what we're doing. We're wanting, we're pursuing, we're achieving, we're consuming. This is a very activating energy. It's incentive, it's resource focused. It may or may not create us to do compassionate things, contribute to our doing compassionate things for self or others. But it can be very consuming. Then there's also this threat-focused type of energy, and that's usually anxiety and disgust, and it's interested in protection and safety seeking. It's interested, it's activating, but it's also inhibiting. And when you think about this, I like to think about this as leaders, we're doing a lot of crisis management, right? So either we're trying to protect the organization, we're trying to protect people, we're trying to protect somebody, threat focused, or we're in the drive, we're trying to fix it, we're trying to react to it, we're trying to respond to it. So we're in this sort of thing. A compassionate mind just goes in to soothe. And it's not wanting to fix, it's not wanting to protect. It's like a being with kind of energy. It's a being with. There's a lot of connection. There's a lot of safety. There's a lot of soothing that happens. Excuse me. So when we think about pain and suffering, we're often either in this threat, trying to protect something, self or others, or trying to fix something, self or others. But in the compassionate mind framework, we're just going in to soothe. We're offering kindness. And what happens is that tones down these other two, sometimes maybe not so helpful motivation systems, either the drive to fix or the threat to protect. And it soothes that, it calms that loop, and it begins to get us into caring for self and others. And if we think about it, a lot of what we experience as leaders, a lot of the distrust, a lot of the pain and suffering comes from people not feeling seen, not feeling heard, not feeling validated as a human being, not even having their experience acknowledged as an experience, whether we don't want it to happen again, whether it should never have happened in the first place. This compassionate self comes in to say, oh my gosh, I see you, I hear you, I'm connecting with you, and they're co-creating a solution. So it's not, ooh, I'm the leader, I gotta fix this. It's a, gosh, let's really get to below the surface kind of dialogue, below the surface kind of understanding. This is the compassionate mind. And so there are many, many practices, and we'll practice this in our in-class practice. We're still at the point of this recording on July 8th, we're still loading the self-compassion practices into your learning management system. So hopefully we'll have a lot more in there. So hopefully by the time you view this, they will be in there so you can practice them if you'd like to, if you can't wait for class. But the idea is to think about this as Chris Grimmer says, a moment of self-compassion practice can change your entire day. If you string together such moments, it can change the course of your life. And this is not a self-indulgence. It's not letting yourself off the hook or letting others off the hook for reconciliation. What it's saying is, wow, I'm human. That was a moment, this is a moment of pain and suffering for me. I'm going to offer kindness to myself so that I don't move into immediately that self-protection or trying to fix something without really being with it and understanding it and validating it. And so if you just take a moment now, just take a moment where you might have experienced some pain, nothing traumatic, right? Just maybe your idea got dismissed in a meeting or it didn't get acknowledged in a meeting. That was painful. We can just use that one. You had an idea, it didn't get acknowledged. That's a moment of pain. You want it to be acknowledged. You want it to be heard. Maybe it's not a great idea. Maybe it's the best idea, but no one will know unless it gets acknowledged. Non-acknowledgement is painful. And sitting with that is like, this is a moment of suffering. Ouch. I wanted to be acknowledged. I wasn't. Ouch. Then we're validating that, right? Like, of course, who wouldn't feel pain in an experience like that? Of course I feel pain. And then a recognize of connecting with others. There are others whose ideas have not been acknowledged in the way they wanted to be acknowledged. I'm not alone in this, right? Maybe not in this moment, but in other moments, other people have had their ideas not acknowledged. There are other people with this experience. Let me not go into the story of, they never acknowledge me, I'm never acknowledged, I'm never let me not go into that story. Let me just stay in this moment of breathing and soothing. What do I need to hear? Maybe I need to hear, good on you. That was brave and courageous to offer that idea in this moment. You heard you. Who else might have heard you? Somebody else might have heard the idea. They just might not have acknowledged. We don't know yet. What would you like to hear? And maybe you'd like to offer yourself a soothing touch. I bring my hand to my heart a lot when I'm experiencing pain within myself, or when I'm experiencing the pain another might be experiencing. I bring my hand to my heart. That's my soothing touch. For you, it might be a hug. It might be a gentle caress. You might hold your hands. You might rub your thighs. You might bring a hand to your face. You might do all sorts of things. What's a soothing touch that can decrease that reactive physiology? The soothing words. Hey, that was still a good idea, whether it got acknowledged. Yeah? It might not work in this instant. It might work in this instance. I know I had a good idea. I'm brave for sharing it. I'm proud of myself. Okay, so what did you notice just with this practice? Were you able to practice? Maybe not. Lots of people, I'm one. Wow, I took the self-compassion cultivation course like 3 times and quit before I actually engaged. I just thought self-compassion was too indulgent. I didn't think I deserved that kind of kindness. I had all kinds of stories about why I shouldn't be kind to myself. I had a story about if I'm kind to myself, I'll be a slacker, I won't get things done. None of that is true. It's just not true. So what I found out is being kind to myself actually makes the work more enjoyable. It makes life more enjoyable. I can pick myself up after being making a major flub. I can ask forgiveness from another quicker when I practice self-kindness. I'm not trying to protect something that doesn't need protecting. That doesn't mean that sometimes we don't need to protect self, but that's a topic for another webinar we'll get into, right? So just whatever you noticed is whatever you noticed, and we'll practice more in our in-class practices. Until then, I just invite you to notice these steps. So notice pain and suffering. Validate that pain and suffering. Name it, one word. Ah, I've been ignored. Idea's been ignored, or my presence is not acknowledged, or whatever it might be, right? Validate that. Of course, who wouldn't feel this way if they experienced this? Everybody would. And connect with common humanity. Others have experienced this. I am not alone. I am not the only person in the world who's just had that experience. Others have had that experience. And offer soothing words that you'd offer to a best friend. What would you tell a best friend? Good on you. You were brave. You tried. I'm so proud of you. Offer this soothing touch if it's appropriate, hand to heart, whatever works for you. And ask, what do I need in this moment? It may be to stop, breathe. Maybe you want to excuse yourself from the meeting and take a restroom break. What do you need? What do you need that's kind to you and doesn't do harm to you or your others? And then give yourself permission to act on that need. Again, as long as it doesn't harm yourself or others. All right. So our self-compassion takeaways. Offering self-compassion soothes that drive and threat portions of the brain. It soothes that inner critic, and it activates the compassion network, and that allows for a lot of activation of parts of the brain that are taken away when we're in the self-protection, when we're in that survival mode of fight or flight or freeze. Right? And that can look like self-protection. It can look like fixing or jumping on. Again, not that we don't want to address what was underneath that. That will come, but it may not need to come immediately. Okay? It may need to come immediately. It may not need to come immediately. But first comes care for self. Okay? And as we practice these self-compassion practices, we can do them much more quickly. We can do them on the spot. Okay? So it may be that we're practicing self-compassion, compassion for others, and then we're moving into action. We're rewiring our neurology, right? We're rewiring our neurology. So practices be your own best friend, soothing touch, offer kindness, soothing words, and there are lots more that we'll be practicing. If you have questions, you know how to reach me. Please feel free to do so. For next time, we'll connect in class, connect with your buddy, do the buddy practice, post your questions on the course site, practice that focused breathing daily or focused breath with movement, self-compassion practice. The 2-minute journal assignment is there, and informally reflect on the weekly poem. All right, thank you again. So happy to have this time with you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take good care.